For the latest bourbon news, subscribe to the Bourbon Explorer. Today we'll discuss allocated bourbon and if it's worth it. If you spend enough time around whiskey aficionados, you'll hear terms like assigned bottles, allocated bourbon, and the allotted market. Many restaurants and bars have dedicated menus for allotted whiskeys, and some liquor stores and specialty shops now sell them separately. So, what is allocated bourbon? Why aren't other spirits being treated the same way? In certain ways, allocated is a synonym for rare or difficult to obtain. Unicorn bottles like Pappy Van Winkle and Blanton Straight from the Barrel, for example, are assigned, although Jim Beam and Jack Daniels are not. However, the term literally means that each retailer, vendor, or other point of sale has been given a limited supply of these highly sought-after spirits to sell. It's critical to keep in mind who is doing the assigning. Because of the three-tier system in place in the United States when Prohibition was repealed in 1933, importers or producers, distributors, and retailers, distributors, not producers, are in charge of allocation. Distributors generally choose where and how to ship their most coveted bottles, allowing them to use them as prizes for their most loyal clients. Retailers say that if you sell a lot of cases of a product that your distributor really wants to move, you'll probably be offered something extra. If you only sell a few bottles, you're unlikely to receive any cases of Angel's Envy cask strength. Chain liquor stores get the vast majority of all allocated bottles. Independent shops like mine get shafted hard, he says. Distributors use those allocated bottles as motivation to get us to take undesirable product, to push X product over Y product, or to help meet a sales goal. The allocation of bottles varies depending on the market, but there are certain general criteria, starting with high-end bourbon. The Sazerac Company, for example, owns the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, BTAC, which is distributed worldwide. The BTAC featured Thomas H. Handy Rye, Eagle Rare 17-year-old Bourbon, Sazerac 18-year-old Rye, and William LaRue Weller Bourbon last year, but not fan favorite George T. Stagg. The Sazerac Company's premium bourbons, which include Blanton's, E.H. Taylor, Elmer T. Lee, OFC Vintages, Van Winkle, and the Buffalo Trace Experimental Collection bottlings, are all widely allocated. As the category grows in popularity, the same can be said for most collectible bourbons. Almost every limited availability bourbon is likely to be allocated, because to a thriving secondary market where collectors buy and frequently immediately resell, or flip, popular bottles. It isn't always the most costly bottles that are chosen. According to Jake Swain, a spirits purchaser at Sabro Spirits in Indianapolis, several popular but affordable and not very limited bourbons like Buffalo Trace, Knob Creek, and Old Grandad 114 are allocated, at least to a degree, in some parts of the country. He says, "I'm starting to see more and more products go on allocation." He used to be able to buy 15 cases of Buffalo Trace at a time, but his distributor now limits him to 10 cases per order, and he often doesn't get that much. Many shops have expressed dissatisfaction with the lack of transparency in how distributors allocate their most popular bottles. Distributors, for their part, are frequently unwilling to even discuss allocation. "I am unable to remark or quote regarding allocations," one distributor said in response to an interview. "The methods used to handle allotted bottles at the point of sale differ. Many liquor stores just price uncommon bottles similar to what they might sell for on the secondary market, listing exceptional releases well above MSRP. Others only provide allocated bottles to consumers who have signed up for loyalty or rewards programs. Some establishments, notably many state-owned liquor stores, hold lotteries or raffles for certain products, with winners receiving the opportunity to purchase a bottle. Several distilleries, notably Four Roses, have begun to run their own lottery for special or limited editions. And, despite the risk of those bottles being promptly flipped, some store owners still appear to love putting even the most sought-after rarities out on the shelves, Easter egg style, to reward in-person shoppers. While bourbon is the most popular category for allocation, it is not the only one. Many Japanese whiskeys, some scotches, and a number of Irish whiskeys, including Redbreast and Blue Spot, have been assigned for quite some time. Allocation has apparent disadvantages. However, there are several advantages that are sometimes neglected. Whiskey connoisseurs like Amanda Munson of Seattle like the challenge of finding exceptional whiskeys and never knowing what they'll find. My husband and I enjoy watching whiskey-related YouTube videos, learning about different distilleries and flavor profiles, and then going out and seeking for them, she says. We meet fascinating individuals and have a good time together. It's a combination of a scavenger hunt, networking, and education. And, of course, there's the whiskey. Allocation may help create client interest and relationships in addition to making bottle purchasing into a fun treasure hunt. We enjoy visiting different shops and getting to know the individuals who own them, Munson says. Getting your hands on an assigned bottle can be an indication of your store manager's patronage. Aside from growing consumer demand, time itself is pushing allocation. While distillers producing unaged spirits like vodka and gin can more quickly change production to meet demand, the situation is extremely different in the realm of whiskey, where making a 6-year-old drink obviously takes 6 years. If you have the patience to wait, the matter may resolve itself. Most bourbon distilleries have increased production, so many of today's limited edition bottles will be more widely available in a few years. Consumer preferences will almost certainly change away from bourbon and other brown spirits over time. So, who can say? If you wait long enough, your favorite liquor store's shelves may one day be brimming with fantastic bottles. Thanks for listening and subscribe to hear more bourbon news from around the world.